Pharmacist Ben.
Couple things before you start. Is my light okay, or do I need more light?
You could use a little more light. People need to see you.
Let there be light. How's that?
Thank you.
A little.
Fantastic.
You want more? More?
Yeah,
I can do this.
oh, you got the fancy setup, man. What's going
I
on?
could even do this if I wanted to.
Okay, well, there you go.
All right, but I don't want to. I want to do
Diminishing
this.
returns on that. Okay, so
I
now
want to do
push
this.
your camera back over to your left.
Oh yeah. You're right.
You're getting
You're
a
right.
little bit of.
Getting
Oh
to see
yeah,
my.
the other left. There you go. Now you're.
Okay. So also second housekeeping. Point of housekeeping. That music's starting to grow on me.
That's fantastic.
It's starting to grow on me. I didn't want it to end. First time I didn't want it to end. Who is it, by the way, so I know?
No idea.
Oh, no idea. Okay, guys.
Somebody Becca just grabbed from the internet.
It's got some flavor.
You know,
It's got some flavor.
That's what our show's all about.
I know. That's what you're all about.
No,
I'm just a pharmacist.
Listen, man.
You bring a color literally and metaphorically.
Thank you.
That's
you're a
right.
New Yorker, so that's why.
You got some style, AJ. You got some style.
That's not what my friends say.
No, you do. You got style. You got style. You're an impressive guy. All right.
Speaking of style, however,
yeah.
I did notice, and you know I love you, Pharmacist Ben.
However,
your Christmas colors
are they wrong?
Me of one famous Christmas character.
Yeah, the Grinch.
The Grinch, man. Those are Grinch colors.
All right, thank you.
But you look.
It's red and green. Come on.
It does look fancy. Did you go to a party?
Yeah, I went to a party, a Christmas party. You know, let me tell you a funny story. Then we'll take some questions. I haven't been out going to parties for a long time, and so I went out. Last time I was in my 40s. Now I'm in my 60s, and I went to this party, and they were all people basically my age and older, and all they wanted to talk about was their health. Their knee replacements, their hip replacements, their arthritis, their diabetes, their memory problems. They just want to talk about their health the whole time. And so people out there, you don't want that to be you. And if you don't want it to be you, we have the answers. We have the answers literally in terms of information, and we have the answers in terms of this stuff right here, product. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Did you give them some answers?
I just listened. I didn't really. They didn't tell me because they wanted my advice. They told me because that's what they wanted to talk about.
Yeah, people wear their ailments on their sleeve.
The last time I was in my part, I went to a party in my 40s. Nobody talked about their health. Nobody talked about their knee replacements. So that's just what happens when you get older. But you don't want that to be you. You don't want your health to be the focal point of your life. You want your health to be something that's transparent, that you're so healthy you don't have to worry about it. That's from supplementation, from diet, from mental and emotional strategy, spirituality. That's how we want to look at this, AJ, I think, is we want to look at it from all of the different avenues of approach for getting healthy. Nutrition's definitely a major part of it, but so is breathing. So is activating the vagal nerve, the vagal system. Parasympathetic nervous system through grace, through gratitude and relaxation, and positive thinking and exercise. Maybe not exercise. Exercise is more of a stress, activates a stress response, but in a good way. The rest after you exercise, that's where you're activating the parasympathetic nervous system, which controls digestion and immunity and growth and repair, and it's really responsible for keeping us young and healthy versus the sympathetic nervous system, which burns us out. And then, of course, the whole mental and emotional thing, and then spirituality as well. So we want to approach it from as many different angles of approach as we can. There's multiple ways to do it. There's no reason why somebody has to suffer from a chronic degenerative disease at my age. I'm not saying that I'm going to be perfect here. Who knows what's around the corner? But at 62, 63, 64, 65, you should not have to deal with chronic health conditions. Who wrote that here? Somebody just wrote a note to us?
Yeah, that's someone that listened to you on KSCO today, apparently.
Okay, thank you, John from Wenatchee.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump right in.
Okay.
Yes, that's right.
So
whoever said that? KB, you're right. KBFL3YL.
Yeah, YouTube has changed our names, and you have to go into your settings and change your name again. Like
Okay, got it.
2 weeks ago, like they added a bunch of numbers to our names. But
Okay.
at any rate, our title. Do you know what our title today is?
I think it was about the cholesterol we talked about the last time, wasn't it?
Well, the official title is "Do Our Bodies Make Internal Band-Aids?"
Absolutely, they do. Absolutely, they do.
and
Not even a callus is a type of Band-Aid in a way. If you define a Band-Aid as a way of protecting something, a vulnerable tissue, right? If you describe a Band-Aid as being that to protect a vulnerable tissue, a callus is a Band-Aid. Callus on your foot, that's a Band-Aid. You ever, walk funny on your foot or something and you get a callus on the bottom of your foot, that's a Band-Aid. You know what else is a Band-Aid that people don't recognize? It's a really important Band-Aid. Mucus. People think mucus is some kind of like bad guy, because they associate it with being sick. But the reason you associate it with being sick is because it's a Band-Aid.
What's the function?
Slime. Remember Ghostbusters?
Yeah, of course.
How did they get rid of the ghosts?
The slime. Okay, so the mucus, in my mind, I thought the mucus was kind of keeping.
Has a trapping effect.
Right.
It traps things. It's got antibacterial properties. Immune cells, and it slimes. It's got multiple functions, but it's a Band-Aid. It's a very elegant Band-Aid. Think about it. If you think of your body as just an organism without you in it, like a machine, the functionality is really amazing. All the different things it can do as a machine. We tend to integrate our personalities or our egos with the body, but if you separate it and look at it like a machine, it's an incredible machine. The secretions and the Band-Aids and the defense mechanisms. There's really it's an incredibly high-tech sci-fi machine from the year, 10,000 AD or whatever. It's just this incredible thing, but we personalize it. We don't separate the body from us, so we personalize the body. We don't really see it as an organism, as an animal, as a biochemical entity independent of our personalities. And if we did see it that way, we might respect it a little bit more. We might feed it a little bit better. We might treat it a little bit better because it's really freaking amazing. The Band-Aid aspect of it is one of the most dramatic manifestations of the body's amazingness or miraculous nature. Yes, we talked about cholesterol as a Band-Aid, right?
Another one also, which is very important and key to our conversation tonight.
Yeah.
Amyloid.
Amyloid's another one. Yes, absolutely. Fibers. Fibers and scar tissue are another Band-Aid. Fibrosis. Fibrosis makes it kind of prevents ruptures in weak areas. When tissue is sort of dysfunctional or just deteriorated, it's not as robust as it should be. It helps maintain the basic structure, particularly of connective tissue. Unfortunately, it's less elastic. It doesn't have the same flexibility, and it's less vascular, so it doesn't get nourished as effectively, and it's not as functional. So it's like a Band-Aid. It's not supposed to be permanent, but it's a Band-Aid. Amyloid is a classic example. What I love about amyloid is it's converted. It's a transerythrotin. You remember that thing we talked about? What was that? Transerythrotin amyloidosis?
Yes.
Okay, so what did we say that was?
Oh man! So I'm gonna fail.
You're not gonna fail. So what did we say it was?
So it is trans moving.
What is transerythrotin? It's a protein.
Okay.
Okay. It's a transporter. It carries proteins, right? Or it carries molecules. It's a protein that carries molecules. It's called transporter. This is another phenomenal thing about the body. There's these transporters. Now I'm a chemist, and I find that just absolutely amazing. Do you find it amazing, or is that just me?
No.
Carriers.
Great.
It's transporters. Transerythrotin is a carrier for thyroid hormone.
Mhm.
But here's where it gets so cool to me, and it's so amazing. Transerythrogen also carries vitamin A, by the way, vitamin A and retinol and thyroid hormone. So what's really cool is you ready for this? When the body needs a patch, and specifically the connective tissue, the transerythrogen, which carries the vitamin A and the thyroid hormone, will actually transform. Remember the movie Transformers?
Mhm.
It will do a transformation and form amyloid. This is the elegance of the body, how it can make multiple things out of one thing. See how that's economical. You don't always need amyloid, but when you do it, you can transform it from the transerythrogen. So that's why it's called transerythrogen amyloidosis. What's happening in transerythrogen amyloidosis is there's a lot of this happening, which tells you what?
Yeah, you got some dirty blood going on.
No, don't just jump to dirty blood.
Oh, well, I mean,
Everything's
it's a
dirty blood.
disturbance. It's certainly
No,
a disturbance.
disturbance.
Okay.
In the case, what's happening is there's deterioration. So the body says there's deterioration of the connective tissue. Let's convert or transform the transerythrogen into amyloid. And they call that, when it happens a lot, it happens once in a while, you don't even notice it, but it happens a lot, it's called transerythrogen amyloidosis. Cardiomyopathy. What does that mean? Heart disease, cardiomyopathy, heart muscle disease, right? Cardiomyopathy. So what's happening is it's telling you everything that's happening. It doesn't tell you why it's happening, but it's really not complicated, but it's just telling you what's happening. Transerythrogen amyloidosis cardiomyopathy, right? I think that's cute because it's just so gibberishy, right, to the average person. But if you break it down, you've got transerythrogen, this protein, this transport protein that carries thyroid hormone and vitamin A. It also does night duty or side duty or has a night job or whatever you want to say it as amyloid. And so when there's deterioration, the body sends signals to the transerythrogen. Everything signals, hey, we need some patches. We need a Band-Aid. And signals are set. And by the way, the doctors will say, this is why you listen to this program and listen to us. The doctors will say it's a misfolding. They say it's a mistake. They say it's an oopsie because the body does oopsies. Oops, we're going to turn this. They call it misfolding. It's not a misfolding. The body is making it fold so it can patch. The reason this is important is because of Alzheimer's disease and dementia, right? Dementia is thought to be caused by amyloid plaques. Have you heard this?
Yes, that's why we're talking about it.
That's the conventional wisdom. Now, if you have a brain, you'll say, well, maybe if you don't, if you have, amyloid plaques, but if you don't have amyloid plaques and you got your thinking clearly, you'll say, what happens? Why are there amyloid plaques there? Now, if you're a doctor, a medical representative, you'll say genetics, heredity, it just happens. No. The amyloid is there to patch up the brain from the damage from the sugar and the gluten and the excitotoxins in combination with the nutritional deficiencies. So what are the drug companies doing? First of all, there's no treatment for Alzheimer's. There's no medicine for it. There can't have a medicine for it because you can't have it's the end result of deterioration of the tissue. There's no medicine for deterioration of the tissue. But what they want to do now is they want to vaccinate you against amyloid. They want to vaccinate. That's their solution because they don't see the amyloid as a repair mechanism, just like they don't see the cholesterol as a repair mechanism, right? They want to shut down the cholesterol. Same idea. That's where we started talking about this stuff. What were the other things? What were the other things you wanted to talk about? What other bands? Fibrosis is another thing. Fibrosis is another thing. Fibrosis is one of the ways we die. When our tissue becomes fibrotic, our liver becomes fibrotic, or usually vasculature becomes fibrotic because it's under enormous duress. Why would the vasculature be under enormous duress?
Because
your favorite answer. Your favorite answer?
Besides dirty blood, I was thinking.
No, not besides. Yeah, well, it also when the blood becomes dirty, we call it dirty. It's not really dirty, but I just think that's very graphic, so I say dirty. When the blood becomes dirty, it damages the outside part of the line of the vessel, the inside part of the vessel, the endothelium. It's called the inner side of the blood vessel. That damage recruits cholesterol. It recruits minerals. It induces the formation of scar tissue, fibrosis, fibers. Instead of flexible collagen, you've got a different kind of collagen, a stiffer collagen, or different proteins even, including amyloid perhaps. I don't know if that's in the vessels or not, but it's similar. The point being, the vessels become stiff. Stiff vessels don't give. Stiff vessels are one of the ways we age. Calcification is part of this whole process. Calcium is kind of like a Band-Aid. And also calcium is comes out from dirty blood. Calcium in the blood is the end result of dirty blood. What it's not is supplementation. That's not where excess calcium comes from. It comes from dirty blood. It comes from when the blood pH is too acidic. And by the way, alkaline means it has lots of energy. Acidic means it has a lot less energy. Alkaline, what makes something alkaline is electrons, electricity. What makes something acid is the opposite of electrons, lack of electrons. And so alkalinity is extremely important to the blood. And when the blood becomes acidic, it will release calcium from the bone, or the bones will release calcium into the blood. And that's where calcification comes from ultimately. And that's a whole nother story. The point being is the body's super intelligent. Everything has a role. Everything is there for purpose. Usually that purpose is to patch up deterioration or to adapt against deterioration. So really, it boils down to the same thing. As interesting as this stuff is, build the body, use nutrition, and stay away from the things that deteriorate the body, the sugar and the processed fats and the excess calories and all. It's just really very simple stuff. So I want to dive into questions because we always run out of time.
Well, the first question was how to reduce plaque in my arteries and reduce Alzheimer's.
Okay, let's talk. Okay, so we'll talk about both all in one fell swoop here. But before we do that, I want to say hi to Monique if she's on the call. Do you see the people on the call? Because I can't see.
Monique, if you're in there,
say hi, Monique.
And I'll drop a link for you to come on with us.
Yeah, come on, Monique, and also your mom. I want your mom. Monique invited her mom.
Are you Napster freak, Monique? Yes, it. Monique, just say toodles if it's you.
Okay. All right. You do that on the side. You do that on the side. Let's talk about
reducing plaque in the arteries and
plaque in the arteries. Somebody just called me. Plaque in the arteries and what was the other thing they said? Plaque in the arteries and something else.
And Alzheimer's.
Alzheimer's, that's right. Okay. So one fell swoop. Plaque in the arteries. Now, AJ, you can answer that question. What is plaque in the arteries?
Plaque in the arteries is cholesterol that's there to protect you from bleeding out.
It's a Band-Aid. It's not necessarily bleeding out. It strengthens the vessels.
Okay.
And here's the proof. Here's your proof. Do you have blockages, plaques in your veins?
No, you mentioned that the other day.
They're arterial, right? What does that tell you? The arteries are under a lot more pressure. So they're more prone towards damage, which means they're more likely to be repaired. Make sense? Does that make sense? You look
arteries have more pressure going through them.
There's more pressure because they're closer to the heart. And they're more prone towards damage, so they're more likely that they're going to have plaques, right?
Yes.
So what you're looking at, so to answer this person's question, is strengthen your blood vessels and clean your blood. How do you do that? Well, clean the blood. We talk about that all the time. In fact, you should change the show instead of Daily with Doc or Pharmacist Ben's Bytes. You should just call Clean the Blood, right? Because that's all we talk about. Clean the blood. It's all about the blood. The life of the flesh is in the blood. Leviticus. I don't remember where, but it's in Leviticus. The life of the flesh is in the blood. Check this out, AJ, and all our listeners. Where does your body come from? How is your body made up? What is it that turns on the production of your body? Your arms, your face, your hands, your fingers, toes, feet, knees, whatever, internal structures. What is it that makes it? How does it come from? Where does it come from? I'll tell you, because you would never guess it. The body is made up of the blood. The body's made up of the blood. The blood makes the body. And where does the blood come from? The body's made up of the blood. Where does the blood come from? What makes up the blood? If the body comes from the blood, where does the blood come from?
I want to say the bones and yesterday's dinner.
No. It comes from food.
Okay.
It comes from what we eat. Mm-hmm. The blood is made up of our food, and then the body comes from the blood. This is how it goes. Food, blood, body. I am not Mr. Food Guy because I want everybody eating organic and David Avocado Wolf, who's a nice guy, but it's kind of this cartoonish thing about eat your vegetables, that kind of thing. Hi, Monique. That is Napster Freak. You're right. So the reason I harp on the body so much, or the blood so much, or the food so much, is because of the blood. That's how you make the blood, and that's how you make the body. So everything boils down to the blood, which means the food. Everything. And the only thing that keeps us from really leveraging that simplicity and that power and that elegance is our silly minds that think it's too easy, or our silly minds that don't want to mess around with our food, that like the foods, that don't want to change. Either way you look at it, we have this leverage point, this power point that is the ultimate power point from a physiologic perspective, say perhaps the breath, but certainly along with the breath, it's how our bodies are made. So it always boils down to the food. And that means out with the foods that are causing problems, in with the nutritionally dense foods. And I include this isn't really foods, but it's the active ingredient in foods.
What about this stuff?
That's for your leaky gut. In combination, a great combination. Leaky gut, which is the big problem that we always talk about for dirty blood, is the most important thing is to change your foods, and then also to work on the intestinal environment, probiotics for sure, bile salts, bile, lecithin, that kind of stuff, but also to patch up the wall, the mucus and the connective tissue, Fucoid Z, bone broth. Let's see what the collagen peptides, glucogel caps, MSM, ultimate selenium, anything you could do to support the wall itself and what they call the lumen, which is the hollow part of the intestine. And that's it. It's so simple. And sugar is part of that whole process because sugar, number one, is ingested. And number two, it has a major impact on the blood. And that's it. SIBO. Somebody's asking about SIBO. Do we have new people on the call?
I'm not sure who Napster Freak is, but they're knowledgeable.
Okay, that's Monique. That's Monique. Put Monique on.
Monique is not.
She doesn't want to come on.
Not Monique.
No, I am not.
She is not a Napster Freak.
Monique is not Napster Freak, but she works with me.
No, who
and
am
I'm proud. I am excited to say Monique is my newest distributor, and she's an esthetician. And if there's any estheticians out there, Monique and myself together are going to specialize in estheticians, in helping estheticians grow longevity businesses and use longevity for their clients. Why? Because we believe in this stuff. And this is my 28th year. I'm going on my 28th year of ingesting this stuff on a daily basis. Although before it was regular tangerine.
Okay, but I got a question. Does Truth have collagen peptides?
Yes, of course. But we're more top.
Yeah.
Collagen. No. We have a supplement. We have a collagen supplement for sure. It's a capsule. Yes, we're out of stock. And it'll be probably another month.
Good, you're out of stock. So Monique, you can give people the
collagen peptides. Yes, you can. We don't. No. Our collagen recovery, well, this is a good subject. Our collagen recovery complex and collagen peptides are two different, they represent two different ways of building collagen, we'll say. And I'll explain that in a second, but I just wanted to introduce Monique to the peeps. Say hi, Monique.
Hi, everyone.
But I especially want to see your mom.
Yeah, I
Where's
think
your
she's
mom?
in her PJs right now.
Okay. All right. She's
It's
probably
late here, but next week.
tell her
she'll
I
get
said
prepared.
hello.
She'll
Tell
pop
her I
on and
said
say
hello.
hi.
All right.
Monique livens
Will
us up,
do.
so Monique, you can stay as long as you like.
No,
But
you're
anyway,
good, Monique. Yeah.
Oh, I'm here till the end of the call. So if you want to bring me back on, you absolutely can.
all
Okay.
right,
Thank you,
all right.
Monique. So
Thank you.
we get that question a lot about the difference between collagen peptides and hydrolyzed collagen, or collagen, and vitamin C and copper and the cofactors for building collagen, the amino acids that build collagen, etc. So here's the difference. Collagen peptides are little pieces of collagen that act to signal. This is one of the coolest things that the body does. When the body sees collagen peptides floating around in the blood, it thinks to itself,
Needs a repair.
it says, bingo. It says there's damage somewhere. Collagen peptides represent damage. Why? Because when you have damage, there's
When
collagen
you cut
peptides.
yourself, there's
Collagen
collagen.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
I'm learning
So
from you, man.
you heard that from me, right?
I'm learning it slowly, but I'm learning.
No, you learn well. You remember things. You're a very impressive guy, AJ. I noticed that you remember things. That's very good, and you understand it. Not just first you understand it, and then you remember it. That's very good. So yes, exactly. That's how glucosamine works. That's the glucogel. That's how the glucogel works. The glucogel does the same thing.
It's a signal.
Glucogel,
Okay.
it's a signal. Yes, it's a signal. It represents damage, which signals repair. To me, that's one of the coolest things about the body. Damage signals repair. You understand what I'm saying? It's adaptive. It has to have the raw materials to do its work, and many of our diseases are because of maladaptation, either too much adaptation or not enough. The adaptive process becomes dysregulated, and that's really what our diseases are. There's a dysregulation of there's too much adaptation, too much fiber, for example. A lot of that's from too much damage. We lose regulation. The body is incredibly regulated and controlled. Disease is dysregulation. And so we're talking about with nutrition is we're talking about signaling back to regulation. Nutrients help trigger regulation. That's really how they work. Now, there are building blocks. That's another kind of thing. But the micronutrients, the mighty 90 essential nutrients, those are signalers. They signal they facilitate biochemical reactions by helping chemistry move at a regulated, controlled fashion. You don't want things out of control. Nutrients keep it regulated in a controlled fashion. So anyway, bottom line is that when we have a disease, a dis-ease, oftentimes it's a adaptive mechanism that should be an adaptive mechanism. It's an adaptive mechanism that gets out of control. Does that make sense? Did I explain that? Okay.
It does make sense. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Now, what were we just talking about here that we're going to? Oh, the plaques and the Alzheimer's. So for plaques, clean the blood. Number one. Number two, use chelating agents. Chelation means magnetically attract minerals, vitamin C, selenium, fucoid Z, MSM sulfur. I'm sure I'm missing fiber, ultimate microbiomes. Patch up the gut. Work on chelating agents. Third, strengthen the blood vessels. Now, you'll help the blood vessels by cleaning the blood for sure, but collagen, connective tissue, the blood vessels are made up of the same, not exactly, but similar to your joints. So it's like you could think of blockages as a response to arthritis of the joint of the vessels. So glucogel caps, the healthy bone and joint pack. And by the way, the healthy bone and joint pack is for your blood vessels. Do you get why, AJ?
Yeah, because it's got it's got collagen building, it's got tissue building material.
Connective tissue. It's all about the connective tissue. Fucoid Z also is important for the blood vessel, for the health of the vessels. Vitamin C, incredibly important for the health of the vessels. beyond belief important vitamin C is for the health of the blood vessels. And then for Alzheimer's disease is largely a deterioration of the brain. And then you get the plaques that kind of patch it up. The deterioration of the brain is a lot of it is called glycation. And it's a known fact that, in fact, they call Alzheimer's disease type 3 diabetes. It's a type of diabetes in the sense that people who have dementia oftentimes have blood sugar problems, and glycation of blood vessels can obviously cause problems wherever it occurs, but especially in the brain, especially neurology. So treat yourself like a diabetic is the best thing you can do for Alzheimer's, and then use things like the B complex, zinc, chromium, vanadium. There's lots of nutrients that help you process sugar. Interestingly, niacin, deficiencies in niacin cause dementia. What does niacin do? It does a lot of things, but one of niacin's main roles is to help the body with sugar. It's part of the sugar processing complex. So niacin deficiency, which is a deficiency in a vitamin that's important for blood sugar metabolism, is associated as a cause of dementias. In fact, pellagra, which is niacin deficiency disease, is marked by the 4 Ds: diarrhea, meaning GI problems; dermatitis, meaning skin problems; dementia, and death.
Yeah.
That's the 4 Ds of pellagra.
Okay.
And Parkinson's is very similar. Somebody's asking about Parkinson's. Parkinson's is very similar. Parkinson's, check this out. If you have deterioration towards the prefrontal cortex in the brain, if you picture the front of the brain here, the prefrontal cortex here, if you have deterioration over towards the prefrontal cortex, you'll have dementia. If you have a little more towards the back, you'll have Parkinson's. And if it's right in the middle, you know what you'll have? Parkinson's dementia. You get it? So you got dementia over here, or Alzheimer's, I should say, over here. You've got Parkinson's over here. And in the middle, you got a cross between the two. Parkinson's dementia, they call it. Okay. Now here, hang on. Let me say this real quick. What do they all have in common? Damage to the brain, damage to the tissue. How does tissue become damaged? Dirty blood, especially with toxicity, especially with sugar, which is part of the dirty blood complex. Dirty blood. How does the blood become dirty?
Leaky gut.
Bingo. Yeah. Bingo. Yes. Yes, sir.
Our friend Yvonne Ray
has
had a lot of success with people who have these dementias by using extra GABA.
Yes. Okay, let's talk about that. But I meant to say something before, and we'll talk about GABA here in a second. GABA is very fascinating. One of the things you could do if you don't have Alzheimer's, but you're just kind of starting to get a little cognitive decline. Alzheimer's is dementia, and it's in a spectrum. My dad had severe Alzheimer's. Some people have it, they just can't even, they're out of their bodies, basically, right? They can't even talk. And one of the ways you die, in fact, I think the way you die from Alzheimer's is you don't eat. You actually forget to eat, or your mouth doesn't work. Your swallowing mechanism doesn't work. So anyway, that's severe dementia, but you can just be forgetting where you put your keys, or have a word on the tip of your tongue, or, just not be able to get an idea out of your head. There's different degrees of it. One of the best things you could do is practice your brain. Read a book, read a book on a subject you never read before. Or, what I do is I memorize my credit card numbers, not all my credit cards, but I have certain credit cards. I just remember the numbers. I memorize them. Memorize phone numbers. When you go to the bins on Whole Foods where they have you're supposed to write down everything, don't write it down. Try to remember 3 or 4 things: 52696, 17698. 3. You'll blow the cashier away if you do it right. And you start rattling them off. It's really very interesting. And there's tricks. Exercise your brain. Brush your teeth with your alternate hand. Instead of brushing your teeth with your right hand, brush your teeth with your left hand. Or do other things with your left hand. If your right hand is, practice writing with your left hand. Challenge your brain. Make your brain work. That's one of the best ways to keep your brain healthy as you age. You get more synapses, more connections, more blood flow. And then you said something else, AJ. What was that you said? GABA. Okay, so let's talk about GABA. That is one heck of a molecule right there. Let me tell you about GABA. I know quite a bit about it. First of all, the most important thing about GABA is it's a form of what is, for now anyway, the most powerful and underappreciated molecule in the body. That's saying something, right? I don't mean it's the most powerful molecule. Arguably it is, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's the combination of the most powerful, most underappreciated. And that's something called butyrate. And we've talked about this before because I've been fascinated with it since pharmacy school for like 40 years.
Butter.
What's that? In butter, right? And just now you're starting to hear about it. I learned about it in pharmacy school in the 80s. And now it's just starting to get out. That's kind of how nutrition and science and health work. Things that we learned in pharmacy school are just now getting out 40 years later. So I'll talk about butyrate here in a second. But GABA is gamma amino butyric acid. And without getting into too much chemistry, butyric acid is butyrate. Butyrate and butyric acid are essentially synonymous, right? Butyrate, butyric acid. Gamma amino butyric acid, gamma amino has to do with the structure of it. So I can tell if I've never heard of gamma amino butyric acid and somebody told me, I would know what the molecule looks like. So words are descriptive in chemistry. Gamma means the gamma carbon. I don't want to get into too much stuff. And then amino, lovely amino acid and so helpful. Yes.
That's Yvonne I was talking about, by the way.
It is. Well, Yvonne's right on. It's so helpful. So let's talk about GABA because there's so much to talk about. Butyric acid, butyrate is just incredibly, incredibly important. Incredibly, mind-blowingly, especially for the colon. But, we can talk about that some other time. But gamma amino butyric acid is a very important relaxer for the brain. Calm you down. Your brain is constantly in a balance between activation and inhibition. It's a constant balance. There's chemicals that inhibit chemistry, and there's molecules that stimulate chemistry. For example, aspartate. Have you heard of aspartame? Remember aspartame?
I hear it's the worst stuff in the world.
Why? Because aspartate is a stimulant. It's a brain stimulant. Food manufacturers figured out that if they can stimulate the brain, you will be happy. And they figured out if they put this magic molecule, which is what they call an excitatory neurotransmitter, an exciting brain chemical, if they put it on a cat turd, you will think it was filet mignon. They figured that out. The Japanese figured that out. They figured out if they could get this excitatory neurotransmitter, they could put on anything, and you'd think it was the most delicious thing. Put on an old shoe, and you would think it was steak. And they could put on anything, and you'll find it delicious. Now, imagine what that did. That all of a sudden, and this is one of the reasons why the Japanese were well known for their food. The Japanese army or military was well known for its food in the early part of the 20th century because they had figured out how to add something called glutamate, which is a major excitatory neurotransmitter in the form of monosodium glutamate. You've heard of that, of course, MSG.
Absolutely.
Right? MSG is this miracle stuff that you could put on, anything, and you'll think it's the most delicious thing you ever ate. And if it's already something you like, and then they put it on, you can't stop eating it, right? And so it's everywhere, and they don't call it MSG. Very rarely, I don't think I've ever seen it as say MSG. It's a natural flavor, it's yeast extract, something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's how they hide it now?
That's how they hide it. You never see. I don't think you ever see MSG on a.
Used to see MSG.
You used to see it. Yeah, you used to see it. Accent. Is it Accent? Yeah, it's Accent. That's MSG.
Wow.
What Accent? So some guy in some food company probably said, "Hey, why don't we just sell the darn MSG in a shaker? What do we need to put on our food? You put it on your own food, and that's what Accent is." So, if somebody's asking, is MSG harmful? It's not going to kill you, but some people are very susceptible because it is classified as an excitotoxin. Have you heard that term, excitotoxin?
Yes.
It's an excitotoxin. And when your balance of excitatory neurotransmitters is, he just won. When your balance of excitatory neurotransmitters is, when your excitatory and inhibitory neurotransmitters are out of balance, you have more excitatory than inhibitory, you're going to have a problem. And they think that it's thought that there's things like ADD, attention deficit disorder, emotional problems, especially in combination with nutritional deficiencies, not to mention organic brain injuries. It could very well be because you're burning out your brain. So that is to say, if you could balance out the aspartate and the glutamate with inhibitory neurotransmitters, that can calm you down. Guess what GABA is?
An inhibitory.
It's an inhibitory neurotransmitter. It's the perfect antidote to excitotoxicity, to aspartate toxicity, NutraSweet, or to glutamate toxicity, MSG. GABA also, because it has a calming effect, is used for seizure disorders or for just going to sleep, helping you relax helping you go to sleep. In fact, gamma aminobutyric acid is very similar to gamma hydroxybutyric acid. Gamma amino means that there's an amino. I don't want to get too much chemistry here, but there's an amino. That's a type of chemical, a type of molecule. If you take that amino out and put a hydroxy, another type of molecule, you get gamma hydroxybutyric acid. That's called GHB. Now, have you ever heard of GHB?
No.
All right, so GHB was all the rage in the 90s and even in the 80s. Why? Because GHB had incredible properties. Let me tell you some of the properties of GHB. Okay? GHB, gamma hydroxybutyrate, was an anabolic substance that turned on muscle development. So bodybuilders loved it. Weightlifters, athletes loved GHB because it's anabolic. Again, these are derivatives of this incredible molecule, butyric acid, found in butter, right? But on top of that, GHB was the best sleep aid you would ever take. It would put you right to sleep in like 5 minutes, and you would sleep for 4, 5, 6 hours, and you would wake up perfectly rested. Perfectly. So another thing butyrate does, it's very important for sleep wake, what they call sleep wake cycles. It can help support that. It's a little more subtle than that. GHB built muscle and helped you fall asleep. And on top of that, GHB was the most incredible aphrodisiac you would ever use. Yes.
Is that the one?
Yes, that's the one. That's the one. That's the one. That's the one.
It started to smell like that was the one.
That was the one. And so in the 80s and 90s, it was legal. GHB. People would use gym rats. People would go work out. They do GHB to help build muscle. They use it to help fall asleep, and they used to have the best aphrodisiac experience you could ever imagine. Okay? Oh, can you imagine a molecule like this? And completely non-toxic. Completely non-toxic. It's handled, boom, simple molecule. There's enzymes for it, boom, out your body, non-toxic. But builds muscle, aphrodisiac, helps you fall asleep better than any sleeping aid you ever had. You would think this is the most incredible thing, right? Well, unfortunately, some unscrupulous actors, some bad actors,
some dudes,
because it knocked you right out and it made you, horny as hell, right? They were using it in a nefarious type of way, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And so it became illegal. And for good reason. I can see why, but you can still get it on a prescription. You can still get this stuff on a prescription. This is all to say, this is butyrate. This is GABA. This is GHB. There's another molecule you may have heard of called hydroxymethylbutyrate, HMB. Have you heard of HMB? These bodybuilders use it, HMB. It doesn't have the same other benefits as GHB, but it's to say that these butyrate derivatives are very, very important.
Okay.
And you're going to hear more about butyrate and butyric acid as the months and the years go by, because it's incredibly, incredibly valuable. And it works with the ketogenic diet.
So
it's one of the, yes.
So if I want my lady friend to like me more, I should melt some butter?
Butter and put it on her.
It's a family show. Okay. So now this Yvonne is mentioning GABA, great for ADD,
for sleep, for seizures, for relaxation, maybe for ADD. It might work for ADD. It's worth a try. It's non-toxic.
Now I know personally that Yvonne has helped some of my clients with Alzheimer's with high doses of GABA.
I could totally see that.
Now,
I could totally see
but
that.
it doesn't address the Band-Aid.
The plaques,
Yeah.
but it'll slow down the production of the plaques, and it'll help balance the neurotransmitters. There's probably an element of excitotoxicity with Alzheimer's. I can see GABA helping for sure for all mental health issues. Also, by the way, taurine, Taurine, taurine,
Yes.
taurine, another incredibly important amino acid. I'm thinking in my head, I'm trying to think. I don't want to go out on a limb. It may have inhibitory properties, as I'm thinking. It may have inhibitory properties as well. I have to look that up.
There's another question here.
Yes.
YGY GABA products sleep ease in the Beyond Sleep system. So that kind of goes along.
GABA's probably in the sleep products. All good sleep products would have that. And by the way, taurine is another one. Taurine is I'm pretty sure it's an inhibitory neurotransmitter, but it may be a pseudo inhibitory neurotransmitter. Very important for the brain. They put it in Red Bull because it has a calming effect on the heart.
Really?
And by the way, there was a study that came out last year, either last year or the year before. 3 grams of taurine have incredible anti-aging effects a day. 3 grams a day. And I've been doing 3 grams a day for a couple of years now.
Wow.
You have to buy the powder. It gets pretty expensive otherwise. How many milligrams of niacin should we take every day? How do we know we are specifically deficient in niacin? Niacin's a tricky one. It's better, in my opinion, to err on the side of too much and too little. Niacin is a standalone amino acid, a standalone vitamin. Why? Because it's the one vitamin your body will make under deficiency conditions. So it is considered to be medicine to the body. It's considered to be a serious player for overall health. So serious that the body will make some. Unfortunately, it will make some by stealing serotonin, and it can affect your mood. By stealing tryptophan, which goes to make serotonin. It's kind of there's some interesting chemistry there. So you don't want to depend on your body's making niacin. You don't want to depend on your body making niacin. You want to supplement with it. I recommend anywhere from 100 to 1,000 milligrams. If you take 1,000, do it in divided doses. If you take that much, you want to balance it out with all your B vitamins. You always want to balance it out with your B vitamins. 1,000 milligrams is more therapeutic than anything else, but 500 milligrams, the one knock on niacin is it will give you a flush, and 500 milligram will make almost anybody flush. The flush does go away over time. You can use no flush niacin. And it's just such a valuable vitamin that you're going to want to take it by itself, but you want to balance it out with your other B vitamins.
Well, one of our Ultimate Niacin Plus has 500 milligrams of niacin, and then it's also got nattokinase, hawthorn berry, and
that's a nice product. That's a card that they market that for the heart. Hawthorn berry is a heart herb, heart botanical, and then what was the other one you said? Nattokinase. Nattokinase is it cleans the blood. Nattokinase is a very helpful. You've heard of nattokinase, right? It's in our nightly essence, and it's in and it's in this the ultimate niacin. What is the purpose of nattokinase? What gives it its properties? Its health benefits. Cleans the blood. And I always forget to say this, but this reminds me, ultimate enzymes on an empty stomach clean the blood. Mm-hmm. They roto-rooter the blood.
Shantae's asking, do we get enough taurine in the BTT powder?
Not in my opinion.
Blends provide any taurine or GABA properties?
I don't think so. I'd have to see. You mean the mushrooms or the mushroom, the product? It's the mushroom itself or the whole product that we sell?
I'm gathering.
Yes. EFAs will help with the niacin flush, somebody said. Yes, EFAs.
That's our girl.
EFAs, absolutely. EFAs will help with the niacin flush. In fact, when you have enough EFAs, you may not even flush. The niacin flush is the end result of vasodilation. And vasodilation, blood vessels opening and closing, are controlled by derivatives of EFAs. EFAs are the parent compounds, the parent molecules for the construction of opening and closing molecules. Technically, they call them eicosanoids, prostaglandins. You may have heard that term. And these kinds of drugs are how aspirin works and Motrin works. That's why I would say EFAs are almost like a natural Motrin or natural aspirin. They have many of the same properties, although not as intense, because they got to be converted. But they're the parents of the molecules that the drugs work on. Does that make sense? The drugs work on these molecules that come from the EFAs. Is this, what does it say? What is Dorothy asking?
So the conversation we're having, is that good for getting rid of the calcium out of your blood?
For helping, yes. For helping the clots and the plaques. Calcium itself, maybe not. The calcium is there to balance out the pH. So what you want to do is you want to make sure your blood is alkaline. Remember, alkaline is energy. An alkaline substance has lots of electricity, lots of electrons, technically. So you want lots of electrons, and one of the best ways to do it, believe it or not, here's a couple. Here's the best way to get electrified, make your blood alkaline. You ready? One, food. That's probably the fastest way. Two, breathe. Well, breathing's interesting, but yes, oxygenation, absolutely. Oxygenation is kind of interesting. It's really the carbon dioxide, but the respiratory process, we'll say, is very important. Oxygen means acid generating. Did you know that?
No.
Oxygen means acid generating.
Did
so
not.
Oxygen actually makes things acidic, but it also it's the carbon dioxide. It's the balance of oxygen and carbon dioxide, we'll say, that alkalinizes the blood. And that's why breathing is so important. Respiration is so important, we'll say. And then the sun. You can electrify your blood from the sun. Also, walking barefoot on the earth.
Grounding.
Also, being in nature.
Hugging a tree.
Hugging a tree. Absolutely.
That's right, everybody. Go hug yourself.
Absolutely. You got it. Hug that tree. Be a tree hugger. Yes. Yes, sir. That's true.
Pharmacist Ben, we got a question here. I'm a 70-year-old woman with heart disease and COPD. I also have lupus. What can I take for my heart?
There's so much you could do. First of all, this is a 70-year-old woman, 70?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. A couple points right off the bat before we start talking about this stuff. A, don't consider yourself old. You're young. You have another 30, 40 years if you do this right. So you're not old. I'm 65. Sometimes I think the numbers is high, but I realize I'm not old, and I realize I'll be looking back at 65 in 10 years and wish I was 65 again. So you're not old. Okay? That's first of all. Second of all, the sicker you are, the faster you can begin the turnaround process. It may take you a long time to finish it, but you could begin it today. The second, if you're on the call, I would tell you how to begin it right in front of our eyes. If you want to get on, is she on the call or?
Oh, she emailed in.
Okay. So, I would like, if anybody's that sick, I'd like to show you, because you can start off by breathing. You'll feel better when you breathe right away, because when we're sick long term, and this woman is suffering from a lot of different things, but lack of oxygen is one of them. And when you're sick, you tend to breathe more shallow and not as deeply because of the actions of stress hormone, cortisol. So breathing alone will change your life right in front of our eyes if you have that kind of issue. Of course, you got to do more than that. Now, you said a lupus and you said a heart disease. I heard you say two things. What else?
Lupus, lupus, COPD, heart disease.
Okay.
And she wants her heart and her lungs to work better.
Well, yeah. There's tons you could do, but there's tons you have to do. So COPD is like it's like a skin pulmonary system.
Chronic obstructive pulmonary disorder.
Disease, correct.
Oh.
Yes. You're not getting oxygen. What happens is your respiratory system. You're not getting oxygen. That leads to everything else. Just breathing alone is going to change your life. Practicing breathing. But then also you're going to want to, if you're a smoker, and that's usually why people have COPD, you definitely want to stop doing that. I'm not sure why. I'd want to know which came first, but it doesn't. In a way, it doesn't really matter because you got to work on everything. Where does it all begin? What do the lungs, the immune system, and the heart all have in common?
They're all made of connective tissue.
That's good. That's true. They're all made of connective tissue, but what else do they have in common from a causal level? That's their structure. That's true. The blood. The lungs are perfused by the blood. The heart is the blood, and lupus is carried by the blood. The immune cells are carried by the blood. It's all about the blood. So How do you take care of the blood?
Clean
the blood.
Digestive system.
Digestive system. Start today. Get do food. Start eating less first of all. Do a food diary. Eliminate problem foods. Do all the digestive support. Work on a leaky gut. That's the first thing. If you're more likely to have a sugar issue too, go ketogenic, low calorie, low carb, that kind of thing. Okay. Use the healthy bone. I would use the healthy brain and heart pack for sure. I would also throw in the healthy bone and joint pack, or at least the stuff that's different in the healthy bone and joint pack. Because in many ways, like AJ, like you said, a lot of this is connective tissue driven. The heart sits on a framework of connective tissue. Lupus affects the connective tissue. And then what was the first thing she said? I forgot the first thing she said.
Well, COPD.
COPD, the lungs. Yes, that's all. Everything's the connective tissue. We'll talk about connective tissue on Friday. How about that? Because that's so important.
Okay.
And then, that'll be plenty. Treat yourself like a diabetic. Patch up a leaky gut. Healthy bone and joint pack, and healthy blood sugar pack, and all the digestive support stuff. Ultimate enzymes, I-26, food diary. We have a free food diary, right, AJ? Free food diary.
Go to criticalhealthnews.com and sign up for the newsletter, and you'll be shot over the food diary.
Thank you, AJ.
All right,
we'll do a couple more.
Good, because I got many more.
Many more come Friday.
Okay, before I go into the ones that are in a chat, Jerry emailed in best supplements for bulging veins in feet and legs, tingling over different parts of the body at various times, probably due to nerve, using frequency watch on nerve recovery.
I'm not quite sure. A lot of that was secret code. I didn't quite understand it, but I did hear bulging veins on the bottom of his
feet and legs,
and
it's tingling all over different parts of the body. And it sounds like he's using some sort of frequency, which Yvonne is a specialist in.
Okay, got it. But that's cute and all, but that's not where the problem is. You're not going to remember, these are adaptive mechanisms. So why would you want to override the adaptive mechanism with frequency?
Well,
these are adaptive. Your body's trying to help you out, and you're going to say, "Oh no, we're going to shoot a frequency at it and stop that." No.
Well, in conjunction with nutrition.
No. Listen to me. The bulging veins are a sign that the blood's not circulating. Everything's pooling to the bottom. Okay? Does that make sense? You follow me?
Yes.
So that means you got a circulatory issue. Why would you want to? What's a shooting? What is frequency device is going to? Why would you want to do that? You want to fix the problem. Let's shoot frequency at it. The problem is that the blood is sticky and toxic and dirty, and it's not circulating right. It's the same thing as everything else. Isn't it interesting all the different ways these show up? And don't be confused by the different ways they show up. There's a famous book. I think it's a book, or it's a concept or an idea called "The Hero with 1,000 Faces." Do you ever hear "The Hero with 1,000 Faces"? It was
not heard it.
What's that?
Not heard of it.
The Hero with 1,000 Faces is this I forget what you call him, Joseph Campbell, mythologist. He was a mythologist, and he studied myths and stories, and he came up with this hero with 1,000 faces. And he said that all great stories have this type of hero, but there's a different frame around the hero, a different culture or a different family situation or a different story, but they're all the same kind of heroic figure. Whether it's Luke Skywalker or whether it's Audie Murphy, if you know who Audie Murphy was, or whether it's Superman, or there's all these heroic figures, and they come with different stories. The body's the same way. You have the disease with 1,000 faces. The disease is dirty blood, sticky blood. It's got 1,000 faces. Don't be fooled by the faces. Go back to where it's starting from, to the cause. It's not in your feet. You see it in your feet, but it's not in your feet. And the tingling is a sign that the nerves are now starting to be affected. Because of the sticky blood, the nerves are not getting oxygenated. They're not getting nourished. So now the nerves are hypersensitive. Nerves become hypersensitive when they're not nourished and they're not oxygenated. And we feel them. And they'll tell us, why do you suppose that would be? Why would the nerves, what's the evolutionary advantage to nerves tingling when you're not getting when the blood's not circulating, you're not getting oxygenated?
Well, because you can sense danger.
It's telling you. It's announcing. Help. Help. It's a cry for help. Your tingling is a cry for help. You know what I'm saying? You want to, it's like a baby. Your baby's your body. In this case, your nerves saying, help. So you'll say, what do you need? Your baby's crying. Need some food. Need some oxygen. Tired. I got a poopy diaper. You know, I'm swimming in my own waste. I got this toxicity. Clean me up. You know, that's really what all this is about. Mm-hmm. Right? So, my friend, yes, healthy bone. I would do the healthy brain heart pack. Fluidize the blood. We talk about 100 different ways to fluidize the blood, oxygenate the blood, glucogel caps, more water, less sugar, digestive support. Are you getting sick of hearing me say all this stuff?
Never. Just two.
I say it all the time. I say everything.
But before we let you answer that question, happy birthday, Shirley Ann. She's going to be 65 December 31st. Happy birthday to our favorite Canadian. And then Yvonne is mentioning, interesting, why is the bone marrow, not the blood, over the transferring of the heart? What are you saying, Yvonne?
Well, what does that mean? Help me understand.
I'm not entirely why. So we were talking about okay. So Yvonne, text me or something. Translate what you said. And while we are waiting for Yvonne to text me, okay, it says
we'll take another question while we're waiting.
One tissue that breaks down and continues.
Say again.
One tissue that breaks down and continues to progress can break down other tissues. Thank you, Ben.
One tissue that breaks down and continues to. I'm not sure what that means.
Okay. And then so Shantae's asking, isn't lupus impacted in a good way through our own stem cells?
I don't know what you mean by impacted in a good way, but lupus is an immune disease. It's a sign that the body is under attack. So I'm not sure what you mean by stem cells, but you're not going to really affect an immune attack with stem cells, I don't think, except for the stem cells may have immune suppressants, natural immune suppressants. That might happen, I suppose. But really, it's a sign that the body's attacked. And instead of looking to eliminate the lupus, it's probably best to eliminate the attack. In other words, don't focus on the protective mechanism, the defensive mechanism. Focus on the offending agent. Does that make sense? Follow me? And the offending agent is going to be something getting into the blood, i.e. food, or if you're injecting, but for most people, food. And I don't know, I'm not quite understanding that question. What was the one, the other lady, did she respond back with the bone marrow? I think I lost you here. I lost you. You're muted. Oh, there you
are. Thank you. Ben, she said the heart was the blood, and I'm gathering that's in relation to why is the bone marrow? Why not the bone marrow? Why?
I'm not sure what you're saying. The bone marrow makes the blood cells. Mm-hmm. Red blood cells, white blood cells. They're made from stem cells that come from the bone marrow. So in that way, the cells, the red blood cells and the white blood cells, those come from the bone marrow. But the blood is much more than the red blood cells and the white blood cells.
Okay, so she said earlier you said that the heart was the blood. I'm wondering, why would he state the heart? It makes sense that it would be the bone marrow where the blood is actually made.
The blood is not made.
Blood.
The blood's not made in the bone marrow. The blood cells are made in the bone marrow. Mm-hmm. You see the difference? Red blood cells, white blood cells. The blood is not made in the bone marrow. I'm not sure where they get that from. The red blood cells, which are part of the blood, but there's a lot more stuff going on in the blood than just red blood cells and white blood cells. Mm-hmm. Is I-26 effective against the different types of SIBO? Yes. Yes. Biofilms are trickier though. But yes, I-26 biofilms are a protective mechanism, and bacteria use them to thwart antibodies. So it's going to be harder with biofilms, and I can't answer really how much harder or how well it is against biofilms. But I can tell you it's going to be good against all different types of bacteria, including hydrogen producers and methane producers and overlaps. What do you recommend for esophagus problems that vary disorders to help with reflux and GERD? Okay, I don't know what you mean by the vary disorders, but I can tell you for reflux and GERD, I can tell you what reflux and GERD isn't. It's not too much acid. Reflux, by the way, everybody knows what reflux is. GERD stands for gastro, stomach, esophageal, esophagus, reflux disease, right? I've only had it a few times in my life. I don't know, like 4 or 5 times in my entire life I've had it. And let me tell you, that is one nasty, nasty, nasty. Oh my God. And it used to happen if I ate too much, or if I ate too late, or if I had a lot of sugar, or if I had a lot of caffeine. That's what I noticed. That was back in my younger days, and I haven't had it for a while. And I never, ever, ever. It is the most wicked thing. I can imagine why if people have it, they would do anything to stop it. It totally makes sense.
Pharmacist Ben, since I started salting my food with like sea salt recently, like over the past 4 or 5 years, I can count on one hand how many times I've even burped. Like,
okay,
I can't even
that's
burp
good.
anymore.
That's
like,
good.
It's like I'm thinking about that. That's really
good. Did you ever have that heartburn, that GERD stuff?
All the time when I was younger.
Okay, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. It's like a furnace. It's like a furnace. It's like this from hell. It's this. I don't know what hell's like, but that's what it's got to be like. That stuff.
All types of.
Oh man! In the middle of the night, I would get it. I had it like about 4 or 5 times, and that was plenty. Anyway, so for this gentleman and anybody who has this condition, it's a food problem once again, and it's associated with it's not too much acid. So yes, acid suppressants will work because now you don't have any acid, but you need acid. So it's a valve issue. The valve becomes loose. And it becomes loose in response to a lot of things, but one of the most important is the kind of food we eat. So notice that it's associated with food, and notice that it's associated with also, believe it or not, deficiencies in stomach acid. I say notice because you're not going to notice it, but if you use apple cider vinegar with your meals or betaine HCl in your ultimate enzymes, that can help too. Yes.
I was watching a video, and this is gonna this is totally against anything you've ever said to me. But I was watching a video, and they were saying that the liver. I don't want to say it was a liver C word. It was liver. Some problem with the liver.
Cirrhosis,
maybe fatty liver. I can't remember, but they said it's a parasite. And
okay, so let me talk about fatty liver for a second.
Apple cider vinegar.
No.
It's gonna kill this parasite.
That's
and crazy. I'm just sitting there like,
that's not biochemistry. That's That's magical woo something. That's not biochemistry. So hang on. There's parasites. I'm not saying there's no parasites, but that's not what the problem is. So I should also tell you the acid tightens the valve. Apple cider vinegar, when you drink apple cider vinegar or you acidify your meals, that tightens not a valve, a sphincter. It tightens the sphincter. It's like a muscle. And it tightens the sphincter. So doing apple cider vinegar with your meals or acidifying the contents of your stomach. Low stomach acid is actually a much more significant problem than high stomach acid, and low stomach acid will make the sphincter loose. Anyway, it's called the lower esophageal sphincter. But back to what you were saying, fatty liver, it's a big problem, huge problem. The liver is arguably, along next to the heart and the brain, the most important structure in the body, most important organ in the body. I mean, it's hard to make a case for the most important, but certainly the liver is incredible. Hundreds of different functions. One liver cell can perform. The liver is your detox substance. It's a warehouse for sugars and proteins and vitamins and amino acids. And, it's just it does everything. It does so many, it's such a general organ. The spleen filters the blood, the kidneys filter the blood, the spleen filters the blood, the heart pumps, the intestines digest or absorb, but the liver does hundreds of different things. And so it's incredibly, incredibly important. However, one of the things it does is it processes fat and sugar. And because of the way we ingest fat and sugar, we got liver problems collectively. Another thing the liver does is it detoxifies. Your detoxify. It's perhaps its main role, or one of its main roles, is to detoxify. With all the toxins we give the body and the liver, and the sugar and the wrong kinds of fats, and the nutritional deficiencies, we got serious problems with liver. Alcohol is a major toxin for the liver. And so it's well known that alcoholics die from liver cancer or cirrhosis of the liver. But fatty liver disease from too much sugar and too much the wrong kinds of fats and nutritional deficiencies and toxins is an epidemic. 150 million Americans, probably, I don't know, 130 million Americans. It's 1 out of 2 or 3 Americans. 1 out of 3 or 4 Americans has fatty liver disease to the point where it's considered normal. You go to the doctor, they'll tell you it's normal, which it is, but that doesn't mean it's correct. So it's not parasites. Parasites may be involved in other health issues, but that's not how you want to look at it. Parasite thing, I know there's parasites. I understand that, but there's also good parasites. There's good parasites. There's symbiotic. There's parasites that play a role. The microbiome is not just bacteria. It's viruses, it's funguses, and it's parasites.
I'd like you to do a deep dive one day, not for us, but
not on parasites.
But how yeah, because you're a good researcher. I'd really like you to maybe even put a book together about parasites.
About parasites?
Yeah, just because you would bring clarity to the topic
of parasites.
Yeah, and just think about it. But
right. I'll put that on the list of books I want to write. All right.
but I'm gonna let you go. But I have one question for you, and it's not really a happy topic. Did you hear that they killed Meathead?
Meathead. I did, and you know what? I did, and I was actually going to mention that. The guy who killed, apparently, I don't know if it's allegedly, the son killed the parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the son allegedly had a serious mental health problem. That's not alleged. If he did it, he had a mental health problem. But, and it made me realize and think about mental health, because we're always focusing on physical health here. But man, do you ever have a friend who was just mentally unhealthy and you could not communicate to them because they were mentally unwell? And that's the problem. When you're mentally unhealthy, you can't be communicated with. You're alone. You know what I'm saying? Nobody can rationalize with you. One of the important benefits of rationalization is we can communicate. If we're rational, we can talk to each other. We have certain basis from which to, arise from, so we can touch each other and communicate with each other and relate to each other. But if you're not rational, you're on an island. You're by yourself. And that is got to be, it's never happened to me, but I can only imagine it's got to be the worst, most agonizing, hell-like experience. And the end result is things like this. And that's, who kills their parents? Whoever it was slashed their throats. Who does that? And it's just because once your mind goes, you're on your own. There's nothing you could do. Anything's possible. And that's just the world.
And I saw a picture of the guy, and I could look at him and tell that he was off. Like I was just
You could tell by looking at him?
I looked at the picture that he was, like there was something sinister going on.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well. It's a
Okay, just because Sharon's with us.
Okay.
Sharon, don't forget to email us, folks, at questions@dailywithdoc.com if we did not get to your question. And even if we did and you want to follow up, email us at questions@dailywithdoc.com. This is Sharon's question.
Numbness and tingling, inner left groin area after emergency surgery for graveside, aneurysm from hematoma from bad catheter. Oh my gosh, for vein blockage, still painful from surgery, inflammation. Okay, so numbness and tingling, it could be anything. They could have cut into a nerve. It could be, it may recover. It may be inflammation at the level of the nerve. It may be a damaged nerve. I can't tell you that, but it's something to do probably with the surgical procedure. But a grapefruit-sized aneurysm from a hematoma and a bad catheter, that could be a serious problem for vein blockage. So it looks like I'm following the train here. It starts off with the vein blockage. vein blockage caused a bad catheter procedure, which led to a hematoma, which led to an aneurysm, which led to the surgery. But it started with the vein blockage. Okay, I'd want to know what the vein was blocked from, what caused the vein blockage. That would be my question. But that's where you got to work with. But I have to ask you what else is going on, because veins don't just block. There's got to be other things happening. Can't like clear a vein from blocking, but what we can do is we can figure out why the vein is blocked. And so you have to. I need more information, Sharon. So why don't you send AJ a note? We'll do a three-way.
Ben, thanks for your compassion and your intelligence, and we will see. Oh yeah, by the way, and thank you Monique and Keely for being here in the background, helping us out. We appreciate you. And Pharmacist Ben, any parting words?
Yes. The sicker you are, the faster you turn it around. The more nutritionally deficient you are, the faster your body absorbs those nutrients. So no matter how dire it looks from a health perspective in terms of your physicality with the MBFA, my body's falling apart, how progressed your MBFA disease is, you can begin to turn around today. And this is your secret weapon for distributors, because most people are so nutritionally deficient that as soon as they put some of this in their system, boom, it's like a rocket ship. And if you think I'm just talking about it, just ask anybody who's been doing this, either Longevity or the Beyond Tangy Tangerine personally or as a business for the last 10, 15, 20 years, and they'll tell you.
Yep, Pharmacist Ben, you're the man.
Right.
And thank you. Thanks, everybody, for being here, and we'll see you on Friday on Daily with Doc.
So let's talk about a real medical puzzle. It's a heart condition that is way more common than you'd think. It can be deadly, and, well, the official story is that it's an inherited genetic curse. But what if that whole story is wrong? What if the answer isn't in our DNA at all? And what if, for decades, the solution has been hiding out in, of all places, a barn?
First things first, let's get a handle on just how big of a deal this is. We're talking about a genuine medical mystery that's affecting hundreds of thousands of people. And a lot of them, they don't even know they have it.
1 in every 500 people. Just let that number sink in for a second. According to the American Heart Association, that's how many folks in the U.S. are walking around with something called hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, or HCM. For a serious heart condition, that number is absolutely staggering. And here's the official line you'll get. It's the most common inherited heart disease in the world. The thinking is, this isn't just bad luck, it's passed down through your family tree. And the really tragic part? It can lead to sudden death, even in young, super healthy athletes who are at the absolute peak of their physical prime. Okay, so what exactly is the mainstream story here? How does the medical establishment explain this condition that's supposedly hardwired right into our family code?
The condition itself is pretty straightforward to describe. With HCM, the heart muscle gets abnormally thick. This makes it harder and harder for the heart to do its job of pumping blood, until sometimes it just catastrophically fails. And the cause? Well, because certain gene mutations have been found in people with the condition, the medical world points to one culprit and one culprit only: your genes. The answer, they say, is in your DNA. Period.
And you really got to notice the focus here. The whole approach is about management. It's about standardizing care, trying to control symptoms, and screening other family members. The entire system is built on this idea that it's a genetic legacy you just have to live with, not something you could ever actually fix or, cure. And this is where things take a really sharp turn.
What if this entire inherited disease model is just a massive, tragic misunderstanding? What if the medical world has completely missed the most important clue? A clue that, believe it or not, another industry figured out and solved decades ago.
Yeah, you heard that right. Our hunt for answers takes us to a very, very unexpected place: the farm. Because for ages, the livestock industry has been dealing with a condition in their animals that is shockingly similar and just as fatal.
Just look at this comparison. On the left, you have this complex, supposedly genetic human disease. On the right, you've got something farmers call white muscle disease in young livestock. Both involve the breakdown of heart muscle, and both can cause sudden, out-of-the-blue death. I mean, the parallels are just uncanny.
So what in the world connects a human heart condition with the disease in lambs and calves? Well, the answer isn't in genetics at all. It's in the dirt.
I mean, look at this. It's practically a mirror image. The heart muscle damage, the risk of sudden death, the breathing problems, it's all there. But now, look at that last row, the known cause. For humans, it's a genetic mystery. For livestock, it's a solved problem, a simple nutritional deficiency. See, for farmers, this isn't a mystery at all. They have known for generations that white muscle disease is just caused by a lack of a trace mineral called selenium in the soil and the feed. And more importantly, they know exactly how to prevent it and even treat it with simple supplements. The answer hasn't been a puzzle. It's been standard operating procedure in veterinary medicine for generations.
So, this is where it gets really mind-blowing. What happens when you take this knowledge from veterinary science and apply it to humans? Well, according to researcher Dr. Joel Wallach, the results are nothing short of revolutionary.
Dr. Wallach points to some incredible, powerful evidence. First, there's a condition in China called Keshan disease, which he says is just another name for HCM. It was rampant in children until the government mandated selenium supplements, and then it basically disappeared. Then he connects selenium deficiency to SIDS, pointing out that the rates plummeted after selenium was added to baby formula. And then, the heart-raking case of Reggie Lewis, the Boston Celtics star, who died from this exact condition while being treated by the best heart doctors in the world, and not one of them ever thought to check for a simple mineral deficiency that any veterinarian could have told them about.
So why does it look like it's genetic? This quote offers a brilliant and simple alternative. It's not that families are passing down bad genes. It's that they're sharing the same bad diet, from the same mineral-poor soil year after year, generation after generation. And maybe the most incredible piece of the puzzle is the story of heavyweight champ Evander Holyfield. In 1994, he gets diagnosed with cardiomyopathy. He's forced to retire, career's over. But then, he reportedly starts taking selenium. By 1995, doctors declare his heart is back to normal. He's medically cleared, he gets back in the ring, and he does the impossible. He becomes the heavyweight champion of the world all over again. This isn't just a story about prevention. It suggests this so-called incurable genetic disease might actually be reversible.
So when you put all this evidence together, from the farm to public health in China to elite athletes, it brings us to one last really provocative thought. It's a thought that challenges the entire foundation of how we look at this disease.
And this really is the heart of the matter, isn't it? Is hypertrophic cardiomyopathy some unstoppable genetic destiny that we can only hope to manage? Or is it a tragic, massive nutritional blind spot? A puzzle that veterinary science solved decades ago, while human medicine just keeps looking in all the wrong places? The answer to that question could literally change countless lives.